It started with the sharp, echoing sound of heels on planks, a cadence that didn't belong to anyone who had legitimate business on my dock. The lake was calm that morning, sunlight dancing on the ripples, and I was leaning over the railing tightening a mooring line on the patrol vessel when the shadow fell across my back. I turned, and there she was, HOA Karen. In all her glory, floral visor perched like a crown of petty authority, oversized sunglasses hiding what I already knew would be eyes full of disdain. She planted herself at the head of the dock like she owned the water beneath it. "You can't moor that boat here," she declared, her voice sharp enough to cut through the gulls' cries. "This dock is for HOA members only, and you're trespassing." I stood slowly, wiping my hands on a rag, giving myself the extra few seconds to decide whether I wanted to answer politely or let her walk straight into the trap she just built for herself. "Trespassing?" I asked. "On my own dock?" She sniffed, producing a clipboard from under her arm. "We've reviewed the association's bylaws. Any vessel exceeding 20 feet is prohibited without written approval, and yours is clearly oversized. It must be removed immediately." I glanced over her shoulder at the boat bobbing gently behind me. The words County Sheriff's Marine Unit gleamed in bold lettering across its hull. "Karen," I said evenly, "do you see the name on that boat?" She didn't even look. Rules are rules. I'm authorized to enforce them. My patience cracked just a little. Authorized by who? Because the lake, this dock, and that vessel all fall under county jurisdiction. "Not your HOA." She smirked like she'd been waiting for me to say it. "We've had multiple complaints about noise, sirens, and—" She actually lowered her voice here, as if delivering scandal, the presence of law enforcement deterring community recreation. I stared at her, trying to decide if she just implied that safety was inconvenient. Before I could respond, footsteps pounded behind her, and Ethan, the sheriff himself, emerged from the parking lot with his hat in hand. "Morning, John. Thought I'd swing by for that inspection run we talked about." His eyes slid to Karen. "Who's this?" Karen stiffened. "I'm the president of the Lakeview HOA, and this man is in violation of—" Ethan cut her off with a raised brow. "Violation? Of docking the department's patrol vessel at the dock we lease from the county? That vessel is here on active patrol rotation." Her face flushed, but she pushed on. "Regardless, this is private property, and the board has the final say." That's when Ethan's tone cooled. "Ma'am, unless you can produce a county deed in your name, I'm going to advise you to step off this dock before you end up in the back of that boat for trespassing on a law enforcement operation." The small group of early morning anglers on the shore had started to notice the exchange. Phones were out. Murmurs carried over the water. Karen's eyes darted from me to Ethan to the recording devices. "You can't talk to me like that," she sputtered. "I'm trying to maintain community standards." I took a step closer, lowering my voice but letting it carry just enough. "Karen, this is the sheriff's dock. This boat responds to emergencies, rescues, drownings, missing persons. The only standard you're maintaining right now is making it harder for people to stay alive when something goes wrong." For a moment she faltered, but instead of backing down, she whipped out her phone. "Fine. I'll have code enforcement down here in minutes." That was the cue Ethan had been waiting for. "Perfect," he said, pulling his radio from his belt. "Dispatch, this is Sheriff McAdams. We've got a subject attempting to interfere with marine operations. Could you send a unit?" The radio crackled back, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Copy that. Units en route. Charges." Ethan glanced at me. "Potential obstruction." I nodded once. "And impersonating an authority." Karen's face went pale. "I never," she began, but the sound of sirens drifting across the water from the county road cut her off. The anglers were openly grinning now, some filming in portrait mode, some landscape, making sure every angle of her humiliation was preserved for posterity. She backed away a step, heels slipping on the planks, but still clutched her clipboard like a shield. Ethan's voice was calm, almost gentle as he said, "You could have just enjoyed your morning, ma'am, but you picked the wrong dock, the wrong boat, and the wrong people to mess with. That was the moment I knew the tide had turned, and she was about to discover exactly how bad a public retreat can look when it's captured on half a dozen smartphones. The sirens grew louder, and Karen's jaw tightened like she was bracing for impact. 2 county cruisers pulled into the gravel lot above the dock, their tires crunching in a rhythm that made her flinch. Officers stepped out, uniforms crisp, radios crackling, hands resting lightly near their belts, not in aggression, but in the way professionals do when they know the law is on their side. Ethan gave them a small nod. "This is Mrs. Grant," he said. "She's been attempting to remove the sheriff's marine patrol vessel from an active docking site, claiming false authority under a homeowners association that has no jurisdiction here." One of the deputies jotted notes while the other looked straight at her. "Ma'am, do you have any documentation proving you own or manage this dock?" Karen opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The truth was she had nothing because there was nothing to have. She started. But Ethan didn't give her the escape hatch. "You're just interfering with law enforcement operations," he said flatly. "And in this county, that's a misdemeanor, sometimes a felony depending on the situation. You understand that, right?" Her cheeks went from pale to blotchy red, and I saw the first crack of doubt in her posture. The anglers were no longer pretending to fish. They were lined up at the shore, phones recording. Grinning like this was the best entertainment the lake had seen all year. Someone even called out, "Tell her to ticket the geese next," and the laughter rolled over the water. Karen clutched her clipboard tighter, like it could still shield her. "You can't arrest me," she tried again. Ethan's expression didn't change. "Ma'am, right now we're giving you the opportunity to leave this dock voluntarily. But if you choose to stay, you're going to leave in handcuffs." She glanced at me then, her lips curling in something between anger and desperation. "You could have just talked to me," she hissed. "We could have resolved this without humiliating me." I kept my voice calm but firm. "Karen, you came down here ready to humiliate me in front of my own dock, in front of my colleagues, on property you have no say over. The only thing that's humiliating you right now is the truth." The deputies stepped aside, giving her space to retreat. For a moment, it looked like she might dig in her heels. But then she spun on those heels and stomped back up the dock toward the gravel lot, muttering under her breath. The moment she reached the lot, one of the deputies followed. "Ma'am, you're not under arrest, but you will be served with a formal notice to cease and desist from interfering with county marine operations." That sent a fresh wave of murmurs through the anglers, and a few even applauded. The rest of the morning felt lighter. Ethan and I finished tightening the mooring lines, checked the equipment, and took the patrol vessel out for a brief spin across the lake. When we came back, half the shore was still buzzing with retellings of the scene. By afternoon, someone had posted a video online. By evening, it had over 20,000 views with captions like, "HOA Karen tries to evict the sheriff's boat," and "Dock drama ends badly for fake HOA president." But the real twist came a week later. The county attorney's office called me to request a statement. Turns out Karen's stunt that morning wasn't an isolated event. There had been multiple complaints from other lakefront owners about her enforcing fake dock rules, even demanding cash fines for supposed violations. The county and the state's attorney general had opened a joint investigation. 3 months later, the headline hit the local paper: "Lakeview HOA president charged with fraud, harassment, and impersonating an officer." The article detailed her scheme using fake letterhead to threaten dock owners, pressuring newcomers to register their boats through her, and inventing bylaws she had no authority to write. Witness after witness stepped forward, many citing the viral dock video as the moment they realized they weren't alone. Karen's downfall was total. She lost her HOA seat, was fined thousands in restitution, and was barred from any community leadership position for life. The last I heard, she'd sold her house quietly and moved out of county, her reputation trailing her like an oil slick. Every time I walk down to the dock now, I see more than just water and wood. I see a place where someone thought they could fake their way into power and learned the hard way that real authority answers to the law. And I'll leave you with this: when someone like Karen storms in waving false rules, is it better to turn the other cheek or to make sure the whole lake knows the truth?